The A.J. Brown saga in Philadelphia is still unraveling, as today, Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo gave their take on the Birds' latest offensive issues, but I think the solution might be easier than we realize. Plus, the even bigger problem facing Saquon Barkley and the Birds going forward, what Vic Fangio said about Kelee Ringo that has me pretty excited, and why a move for an edge rusher might be closer than you think. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. The sky is 100% not falling in Philadelphia this week, despite another disastrous offense performance for 2 whole quarters versus the Bucs. The Birds, as we know, are 4-0, and the lone remaining unbeaten team in the NFC. And yet people trying to convince you that the offense is, quote, fine and we'll figure it out, have not been watching the same offense performance I've seen the past 4 weeks, which naturally has led to the fresh drama brewing for the Eagles that both Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo tried to dispel. They spoke to media today, and honestly, their answers were very telling. Also, now's your second chance to enter the Jordan Spector Art Jalen Hurts giveaway. You win this bad boy right here. If you didn't comment on yesterday's show, you have a second chance to enter down below. Be subscribed, drop a like, and go ahead and comment Jalen down below to go ahead and enter. Now, first things first, let me just say this. I'm shocked nobody asked any Eagles coaches today about the health of Jalen Hurts and if there was any validity to the claim that he was concussed on this hit. Because Hurts' red-hot 15 of 19 start all happened before getting hit. As post-shot to the head, Hurts finished 0 for 5 with 0 passing yards in the second half. But alas, we're never going to know because 0 people on Sunday or Monday or even Tuesday have asked Jalen Hurts, Kevin Patullo, or Nick Sirianni if Hurts possibly could have been concussed. Now, I'm not saying this is why the Birds had offensive issues versus the Bucs. Obviously, he was not concussed in the Rams game, but it still is very, very odd that it very clearly seemed like he might have gotten hurt. But the fact he didn't come out of the game means we're never going to know, because even if he was concussed, the Eagles would not tell us after the fact. Still, concussion or not, Philadelphia's offense, it's in such a weird place statistically because, well, they've been outgained by 327 yards through the first 4 games of the season, along with a lot of other terrible statistics. On the flip side, they are number 1 in red zone efficiency and interception rate, and top 10 in time of possession, and 12th in points per game. So yes, there is some good to build on, but as we'll see, way too much bad. By the way, I love Jordan Mailata, but I am not buying his answer to WIP on Monday night about the biggest thing the offense needs to fix heading into Week 5.
Especially for the O-line, because it starts with us, is that we need to break that huddle faster. Shoot. Don't care if we don't even get the play. Let's just get to the line, and Jaelan can tell us the play while we're at the line. Let's just get set.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Jordan Mailata is right, that breaking the huddle faster and getting to the line and surveying would solve all their problems. Again, he can say whatever he wants. I'm not disagreeing that it would not help, but still, it seems a little bit deeper than simply getting to the line earlier than they've been. For me, the real problem is clearly Kevin Patullo, who, by the way, did have his first press conference this morning following yet another half-long offensive blackout, and honestly, he had a lot of words to say without giving literally any relevant info about all the offensive issues.
Yeah, so the second half, I mean, when you look at the game as a whole, we started off the game like we wanted to. We had good pace, good rhythm. We got it going. And I think really sometimes when you evaluate games after the fact, there's obviously things we want to work on to get better, and we know we can be critical of as a staff, that we know we can continue to improve. So I think stepping out of it and looking at it, there were some things, just I felt like at times we were just trying to do what we kind of wanted to. And looking back, I think there's some things we can change as far as how we want to approach that situation. But really, it just comes down to just learning from each situation. We've had very unique games to this point, and so I think it's been good to go through that. Early in the season, we've played really, really good defenses, and we've had to adjust accordingly, whether it's second half, whether it's come out in the first half and do different things to try to throw them off. And so I think really it's been a good learning process for us early now, as a coaching staff and players to kind of continue to grow as an offense.
Which, of course, leads nicely into the latest Tuesday update on A.J. Brown. Of course, you guys have all seen by now his cryptic Bible verse tweet that landed just about as well as everyone predicted with the Philadelphia media. Everything from A.J. Brown being a baby to A.J. Brown is 100% right has been floating around every single media news outlet in the city of brotherly love. With the only real insight we've gotten so far coming from the Inquirer's Jeff McClain, who said A.J.'s tweets were intentionally directed at some people in the organization, per sources. And so there you have it. Case closed. What do you know? A.J. Brown is upset at some people inside the organization. Who would have thought it? I'm kidding here. Obviously, that's the case. The question is, who is he actually mad at? I, for one, have said, I think it's Kevin Patullo. I think the All-22 film the past 4 weeks, not just from Sunday, show a very vanilla scheme paired with the worst route tree possible for all wide receivers, but especially number 11. Patullo, to me, seems like the easy answer, but KP himself this morning was very quick to go ahead and dispel that narrative.
AJ and I have a great relationship just throughout the years, being here. We spent a lot of time together. So, as far as communication and getting to him, him and I have had no problem. And I know where, his heart is, where he lies. He wants to win. So he feels like he can do everything and anything to help us at all times. So, as far as I'm concerned, him and I are in a good spot. I think at times, if you look through the first 4 games, he's been doing some different stuff. And sometimes, we've talked about it before, sometimes the ball finds him and sometimes it doesn't, So going into every game, you plan on making sure he's the primary and moving around and doing stuff for him. And if it doesn't go his way, that means usually we're on rhythm or something good's happening and Jalen's reading it out and it's going to other guys, and that can happen. So I think when you go into it, you just want to make sure like, hey, he's the guy, we're going through him, and if it happens, and you just don't want to really force it.
But of course, it could be Nick Sirianni or even Jalen Hurts. So we forget, around this time last year, Brandon Graham hinted that Hurts and Brown's friendship has definitely changed.
I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And 11 could be a little better with how he responds to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed, and I understand that because life happens.
Whatever the real reason is, I don't think us Eagle fans are ever going to find out. We're going to get to speculate a ton, what I'm doing right here, but I just said from the start, A.J. Brown should not have tweeted that, but of course he did, and now we must deal with the consequences both inside the organization and us, the fans, outside as well. My best guess, if you want to know, is that A.J. Brown just wants to be more involved and utilize his maximum potential. Brown, of all people, knows just how dominant he is as a wide receiver and how good the Birds have been historically when they throw the football to number 11. And we're talking about a guy who tweeted 2 days after a Super Bowl victory, the feeling of actually lifting the Lombardi Trophy wasn't that big of a deal, that he got his actual throw of the game from, quote, "When I dominate, it's the hunt that does it for me." There's also a theory that A.J. Brown has gotten his ring and now wants to focus on getting his gold jacket and a Hall of Fame enshrinement. And of course, if you're a wide receiver, in order to do that, you need passes your way, touchdowns, yards. You kind of get the theory that we're going with here. Again, it's just a thought, but it does make sense after that cryptic tweet from A.J. Brown post-Super Bowl victory. Either way, though, speculating, it's not going to do anything for anyone in Philadelphia. I think on the bright side, we have to look at it this way. Philadelphia is 4-0. The squeaky wheel has often been oiled. They survived Brown's issues in the past, and Sirianni, of all people, said the right things this Monday when asked about the whole situation during his press conference yesterday.
Again, he wants to contribute into these wins, and he's had a couple games where he hasn't been able to, and for different reasons of why we haven't in these games. So, but I question nothing about his desire to play great football, his desire of being a good teammate, his desire to be here. I'm
fascinated by y'all's thoughts on this whole situation, so comment down below. Are you blaming AJ, Jalen, Sirianni, Patullo, somebody else? Let me know down below in the comment section. I read them all, and I like to interact as well. Either way, Philadelphia's offense needs to get things fixed ASAP because Denver, they're 2-2, and they come to Philadelphia on Sunday, but their defense is no slouch, and simply ignoring all the elephants in the room could potentially burn the Birds in a bad way with a loss this weekend. Now, passing aside for just 1 second, we can't ignore the other massive elephant in the room so far through 4 games in Philadelphia, and that is the complete lack of a rushing attack with Saquon Barkley. I mean, at least the Birds' passing attack has shown life at times, despite obviously clear struggles, as Hurts and company did light up the Rams for 2 whole quarters last week, and then, despite no AJ, they really had 2 very good passing quarters as well versus the Bucs. Barkley, however, has not let up literally anybody. He's still waiting for the first 100-yard rushing game of the 2025 season and is averaging the 2nd worst yards per attempt in the league, despite getting the 2nd most rushing attempts in the entire NFL. And the most surprising fact is that Barkley already has the same amount of games under 90 yards rushing all this year, that's all 4 to start the season, as he did the entire 2024 campaign. And let's be honest, this is not a Saquon Barkley issue. Like, he looks exactly the same, if not more explosive, better vision, faster than he did this season in 2024. He's at least the same if you don't want to go that far. And so it's clearly not Saquon, and that means something else is causing the rushing attack to basically be non-existent. And to me, there are really 2 issues right now. A, the obvious 0 running lanes, as the guys up front are not making massive holes for 2-6. And the second, obviously, Kevin Patullo here, 0 creativity in the running scheme. But I'd argue right now, at least looking at the film, the lack of running lanes by the offensive line, aka poor run blocking, is really at the heart of Saquon's struggles, and Jordan Mailata, he has to agree.
It's both. They load the box, but I think we have the right numbers in the scheme. We do, but it's an execution thing.
It's 1 block here, 1 block there.
1 block here, 1 block there. I'm telling you, we come at second half, and I'm like, oh, let's go. We're going to put the foot on the pedal. Yeah. And then I'll whiff a block on the run game, and we lose 2 yards. Yeah. Then we run the ball again, and we get 8 yards. So if we don't do that, that's a first down. or even more if I execute my block.
We had some hits, we had some misses, right? And what happens sometimes on the misses is when it turns into a negative, it puts you behind. And so, we had a little bit too many negatives yesterday for different reasons. It's never just going to be, oh, it was this or oh, it was that. There's always, this is why it's the greatest team sport there is. There's always different things pointing to, why a play was successful or why a play wasn't successful.
I think we also have to at least acknowledge that both Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson as well have really struggled to start the season, both with pass blocking and run blocking especially. As Dickerson, for instance, has already given up 3 sacks and 13 pressures in 2025, and that currently is on pace for well beyond his worst year ever as a pro, which was 2023, where he gave up just 5 sacks and 38 pressures the entire season. And of course, I'm not blaming Landon Dickerson because clearly Landon Dickerson is not 100%. We all marveled at the fact that he had a minor knee surgery during training camp and was back less than 2 weeks later. But I think so far, through 4 weeks, they rushed him back too soon. He's clearly not 100%, and I don't know if there's a solution. Do you sit him, wait till he is 100%? Either way, the left guard, number 69, he's clearly still favoring that knee, and honestly, it might just take time for it to fully heal, and eventually they'll figure things out. And Jurgens has equally been as bad, and well, technically he's not injured, or at least we were told his back issues from the postseason were healed, but again, maybe not. All in all though, Philadelphia's entire offensive line, it is banged up and playing poorly. Lane's missed time, Dickerson and Jurgens are playing hurt and clearly causing issues, and the running and passing attack have not looked anywhere near as lethal and dynamic as it did in 2024. Until they figure out what's going on up front, Barkley's slow start to the season might continue, and that will continue to be a serious problem.
It's funny. I know a lot of the guys have talked about it too. We've been so close on so many runs, and I still think we're still trying to feel our way out, as far as who we are. Each game, especially this first 4, right? We had so much history with these teams, so they know our personnel. They know a lot of things that we've done in the past, so you're trying to feel out like, okay, this has been good against them in the past. Is it still? Do we need to do things new? So I think there's still a feeling out process, and we've been really close. Stout does an unbelievable job with the O-line. The guys are so good on game day about communication with me. Saquon's been unbelievable, and I know they're wanting it to happen so bad, but at the same time, we just don't want to. You don't want to force it because you don't want to have like, okay, we got to hit some home runs. But at times when we need to run it, we've done a decent job of picking up yards in critical moments. It happened the other day in a few spots where we kind of needed some yards. We ran the ball a little bit. It happened, throughout the second half. We needed some yards in the Rams game just because we were on the ball so much. So I think when we need it, we've had it. We just got to continue to look at, okay, where is this going? And what it looks different, right? Each year looks different. So I think that's a piece of it too.
Now, moving over to the defense, and I do think they have issues as well, more specifically the Birds' pass rush or lack thereof, as that remains currently a major problem. And yes, they have gotten to opposing quarterbacks at times. Whether Jalen Carter is hurt or not, and that's affecting the overall pass rush on the interior is one thing, but guys like Jalen Hunt, for instance, have been a massive disappointment so far with 0 sacks and very little pressures. And Hunt, of all people, he definitely knows this, telling Patrick Johnson last week, quote, "Man, I want to get more sacks. I want to get more pressures. I want to be able to make more tackles." Early this morning, he's like, "Man, I was sleeping. I was thinking about getting sacks this week." Maybe all the preseason hype around Jalen Hunt was simply too high for a guy entering year 2 as a 3rd-round draft pick. Maybe they need Nolan Smith back. Maybe they got to add somebody else. More on that in a second. Either way, though, I think they need to generate more sacks and really just more pressure overall, despite Vic Fangio not sounding the alarm bells today during his press conference.
I don't think our rush has been bad. The ball's been coming out pretty quick at times. I haven't felt an epidemic during the games when I'm calling them that our rush isn't good enough. So, sacks are sacks.
All of that, of course, does naturally lead into at least a quick conversation we need to have about adding an edge, maybe externally, to come in and help. As the Athletic's Zach Berman did tweet on Monday morning, quote, "Also on the topic of edge rushers, I think it's worth monitoring the results of the Dolphins game tonight." Now, of course, it's Tuesday. We know now the Miami Dolphins did not lose. They did beat the lowly Jets, but remain at 1-3 and lost Tyreek Hill for the season. I personally don't think Tua and company are going anywhere fast, so maybe Phillips is now an option as we approach the Week 8 trade deadline if Howie alone thinks they need some edge rusher help. And yes, I do think that should include the possibility of Bengals edge rusher Trey Hendrickson as well, as of course all the preseason trade drama, we talked about it a lot on this channel, did result in the edge landing a 1-year pay bump, but no long-term extension, which technically does make him a lot easier to trade to a team like Philadelphia, who wouldn't have wanted to pay for a long-term contract plus draft picks. And of course, much like Miami, they're going nowhere fast. The Bengals got rolled by the Broncos on Monday Night Football. They don't have Joe Burrow anytime soon. Trey Hendrickson being traded could be a very real possibility for a Bengal team that might just, throw in the towel in the 2025 season, load up on draft picks, and completely reset when Burrow's healthy in 2026. Of course, I'm not saying Philadelphia will for sure make an edge rusher move. There's been no actual reporting on this as of now. And of course, they literally just added Zadarius Smith and do have Nolan Smith waiting in the wings. Plus, and I've said this for weeks now, let's not forget with Ogbo tearing his triceps a couple of days ago, that should, emphasis on should, mean Azeez Ojulari finally gets to see the field. But, and let's be honest here, Phillips and more like Hendrickson are two names to definitely watch if Howie is seriously interested. And Fangio at least did say today he'd leave it up to Roseman to make the decision in the end.
I think we're good with what we have. The numbers are dwindling. And if we need more, I'm sure Howie will get something done.
Still, though, let me just be clear, it's not been all bad on the Eagles' defensive line. Honestly, far from it. Jordan Davis, as we know, he's still been balling out. And also, how about the emergence of Moro the past 2 weeks? So Jomo is now number 2 in the entire NFL in interior defensive line pressures to start the season, and the tape is starting to be absolutely unignorable. If Jomo keeps this up and Jalen Carter can get healthy, at least the interior pass rush should start to go ahead and come alive. I will say, though, for all the offensive issues, which are very real, that obviously have people reliving the 2023 PTSD, Philadelphia's defense is night and day different from that same 2023 unit. Let's just thank our lucky stars for Vic Fangio every chance we get because he has Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, the linebacker unit, and at times the front four absolutely balling. Of course, staying with Vic Fangio, and he was also asked straight up this morning about how Kelee Ringo looked following what I thought was a very impressive debut for his opening game against the Bucs this season. And Vic, of course, did not shy away from praising the young corner and did hint, technically, watch it here, that he could keep his job even if and when Adoree Jackson comes back.
How do you think Kelee held up?
Good. Thought he did good. I mean, he can be better. The true test for him will be to see how he improves. But overall, did good.
Would you like to keep him there even when Adoree's healthy?
It's possible.
What did you like about his performance, and what areas did you see for improvement?
He was pretty sticky in man coverage. Like to see his tackling improve. One thing a guy has to learn that has played predominantly special teams is tackling on defense is a lot different than tackling in special teams. But I'm confident he can improve that.
Of course, Vic Fangio is right. Adoree's tackling was his one big issue, but numbers don't lie. In coverage, he only allowed 1 catch on 3 targets for just 8 yards on Sunday. I think right now, Kelee Ringo versus Adoree Jackson versus Ja'Cory Bennett is a coin flip, right? They all have their pros and cons, but none of them have really pulled away as the clear elite starter. However, Kelee Ringo did look pretty darn good this past week. Adoree Jackson still has a groin, and obviously Bennett is going to be on IR. And so Kelee Ringo, it's his job to lose. And I think his ceiling, as always, has been very, very high. His potential is up there. If he starts this weekend versus Denver, a very good offense with some good receivers, and plays well, he might not give that job back to Adoree Jackson. Lastly, I have to mention Nakobe Dean here because technically he's now eligible to return from the PUP list this week. There's been all sorts of rumors and speculation about moving Dean to inside linebacker and Campbell to edge rusher, which honestly I'm not a big fan of, mainly because Campbell's been so darn impressive in all aspects of playing ILB, especially in coverage to start the 4 games. But Fangio was quick to dispel that entire idea, at least for now, during his press conference, and also did not sound like they are very close to having Dean back, even though he's eligible to return. So maybe we push this whole idea back a couple of weeks until Dean actually practices and is ready to play. I love Nakobe Dean. I think he still has a lot of potential to be a great inside linebacker. We got to see how he looks coming back from the knee issue. And I think Vic Fangio was very adamant today that he's not just going to play this coming weekend just because he's eligible to return from the PUP list. And so it could be 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We'll wait and see on that. But I just don't want to mess up Jihad Campbell's progress because he has gone from, this injured rookie, is he going to be an edge rusher during the draft? We don't know, to one of the best and really the highest rated defensive rookies so far this season at the inside linebacker position. I don't want to mess with that. I'm sure they'll find a way to get Dean on the field at times, but right now, Campbell needs to stay at that spot because he's been that good. Now, of course, tomorrow's practice on Wednesday is our first chance to go ahead and hear from the players after, of course, all the drama on the offense and all the defensive stuff, and so we'll cover all of that. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe, and let's just be clear. Denver, it might be just, simply 2-2, but they are a very, very good football team, a great offense, and an even better defense. The Birds must go ahead and figure things out quickly, especially on offense, to make sure that they don't get blanked by Denver. maybe not blank, but they don't get embarrassed by Denver and lose a game at home that they should definitely win to go to 5-0. But of course, we'll cover it all here on the channel. Make sure you guys go ahead and like and subscribe and leave that comment down below to get your entry into the Jalen Hurts Door Inspector art piece giveaway that will be announced on Saturday's show as usual. Plenty more stuff happening. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.